Please welcome for tonight our special guest here to show us his perspective of India today, Mr. Vijayanand Sinthalapudi.
Hello, Pranav. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's great to have you here. Now, if we could jump straight into the question and answer, I'd like to ask you, what is your opinion on the socioeconomic climate of India today?
That's an interesting question, Pranav. Um, it is pretty much a status quo as far as the socio-economic condition is concerned. When I say that, the social conditions have remained pretty much the same in the last almost 70 years or 60 years, because the poor are still poor, the middle class is still struggling, but the rich are getting richer, and the economic conditions have improved from a global and also from a urban standpoint. Where
So we're saying India as a country has improved, but its people are still struggling.
yes, that's a very good way of putting it. But from a socio-economic standpoint, it is still where it was 50, 60 years ago.
Okay, so do you think you can tell us, do you believe that the Modi administration is having any beneficial change, impactful change on the country right now?
Yes, Modi is one person who has made drastic improvements in Indian political environment, and also he is trying to bring in tremendous changes in the socio-economic conditions.
And just for context, Modi has come in and deposed the long-standing Congress party and instated his party, the BJP party, as the current in-control party of India.
That's right. That's a very good point. India has been mostly ruled by one party, which is the Indian National Congress, which is the current, which was also called Congress Party, and BJP for the first time has won the elections with a landslide victory, and because of that, Mr. Modi has the chances of making tremendous improvements in the Indian economy, and also in the people's life.
Can you give an example of how he's going to beneficially impact the lives of the people?
Absolutely. He is trying to better the farmers by giving them financial aid and providing them with more accessibility to services that they need, and also he's made sure that banks and financial institutions play an important role. And what he did is he has made sure that every person actually has a bank account, and the banks help make that happen. And he is setting up restrooms in schools where I can say in hundreds of thousands of schools across India where most of these facilities were lacking, and he is trying to eliminate corruption and black money in the Indian system, actually in the Indian financial system.
So, can you tell us how this compares to the conditions that you grew up in? How your life now, if you had grown up now, would compare to how you grew up back then?
That is an interesting question, because when I was growing up, we didn't have so much information flowing. When I say information flowing, we were not connected through social media, technology, and other aspects. For me to even access a computer was a dream. the first time I really accessed a computer was when I came to US to do my master's.
Which was in 1991.
1991. So from there, before that, getting access to computer was the most privileged thing. And there were some institutions where they used to have computers, but it was not easy to access computers. So from there to now, now every kid is connected through technology. Every kid has a smartphone now almost, and most of the Indian households are connected through social media. So from that point to now, it's a quantum leap from a technological advancement standpoint. And
But from a quality of life standpoint, do you think your family is experiencing a markedly better quality of life today than they did when you were growing up?
That's going to be a tough question for me to answer because quality of life means depending on the definition that you're looking for.
Are there like physical, emotional, and mental needs being met correctly by the government? Are they living in a higher standard than they were before?
Um, it is going to be tough for me to answer that. The reason is, when you say higher standard, yeah, they're able to buy cars, they're able to, afford, better things. But from a social standpoint, they are still struggling to get their day-to-day things done. They are still fighting with corruption. They are still fighting with social evils, and they have the biggest drawback in Indian economy and social system is the caste system, and that is the biggest evil actually, and it still dominates the Indian environment.
Is it prevalent everywhere?
Caste is deep rooted in Indian society. There is no way you can go anywhere without talking about caste.
Wait, so what you're saying is it's still playing a big role in both the lives of the rich and the poor, and urban and rural environments?
Absolutely. It's not only playing a very important role in rich, poor, and also it is playing a very important role in from a political standpoint also. So caste is everywhere.
Wow. Here I was thinking that caste had almost disappeared into the background, but I suppose something that deep rooted takes a major thing to change it.
I know.
As I understand it, your family is comprised almost entirely of lawyers living in India, right? Your immediate family?
Yes.
So can you expand a little bit on what it's like to defend the law in India?
That's a very interesting question because talking to my dad, actually, he would never, let us, become lawyers. But I think it just happened that every person in our family has become attorneys. But from the question of how it is to defend law, it is very tough because of the corruption. And because of the way the legal system is handled in India, it is very tough to do any kind of justice. But still, they try to do the best they can and try to bring the best they can in the people who need justice.
So they fight for justice, but it's difficult to attain it with the system the way it is.
Yeah, exactly. As I just mentioned, because of corruption, you can always buy justice in India.
Or injustice.
Injustice, exactly. Yeah.
So can those problems be fixed? Is there a way do you think that there's a way to, in a relatively short period of time, maybe a few decades, for India to advance, for those problems to be?
The thing is, as long as people can come together, as Prime Minister Modi has a slogan in his during his election campaign, and also once he's become Prime Minister, he has a slogan where he says sabka saath, sabka vikas. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas means everybody together, progress together. So as long as everybody can come together and leave the caste system and eliminate corruption in the Indian society, I think things can get a lot better.
So we need togetherness among the people.
Absolutely.
Unity among the people.
Yes. Everybody needs to be on they need to walk on one path.
Is there any way for the government to achieve that you can see?
I think that from what Mr. Modi is doing, Prime Minister Modi is doing, I think he is trying to head in that direction, but it is going to take a lot of effort because all his efforts are going to be thwarted by people who don't want the improvement in the Indian social conditions.
So the rich who want to remain rich are going to look for ways to tread on the poor.
That is very true. And not only that, even the politicians, they want to be in power. And being in power means keeping people ignorant and keeping people in the dark. Because once they see the light, they know the truth of the politicians. So they don't want, the politicians don't want to give that opportunity to the poor and educate them so that they can get better life.
So do you believe that cracking down on corruption is the most important thing that the Indian government needs to do?
Absolutely. That is, and that is being done as we speak by Prime Minister Modi implementing demonetization. I think you know what demonetization means.
Essentially, taking all these laundered funds, these under the table funds that are kept off the books, and removing their value to stop them from saturating the economy.
One way it is, right, but actual, demonetization is he's eliminating certain currencies from the financial system. So, for example, the two currencies which are most prevalent or highly used in Indian transactions are 500 rupees, which is, if I translate, it is like $500. And
It's not $500.
I'm not talking from a value perspective, but I'm talking from a currency perspective. So, it is, equal, say it is $500. You're looking at, $500 and, you're eliminating $500 from your financial system. So you cannot use that currency anymore. So even if you have stashed millions or billions of dollars in $500 currency notes, you will not be able to use that going forward. So what Mr. Modi has realized is most of the currency that is in the black market, which is the black money, is in the denomination of 500 and 1000. So he completely removed them from the financial system.
So 500 and 1,000 rupee notes are no longer. Oh, they have no value.
Yes.
You can't spend them anymore.
No, they're
Wow.
they're just like garbage.
That is a radical change.
Yes, and because of that, there were a lot of issues that he had to face to make sure that everybody came along, because most of it most of the people who got affected are rich and ultra rich. So he had to overcome a lot of criticism for that, and but he implemented that, and that's one of the examples actually.
That is cool. That is good. So those laundered funds are no longer going to be in circulation. That's the first step, right?
Right.
For
That is a very important step and a very bold step. And
it shows he's serious about making these changes.
Absolutely, he's very serious. And as I said earlier, when he said Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, he is he means that. And even though India is such a diverse country where you have thousands of castes and subcastes and all sorts of denominations from a caste standpoint and from a language standpoint and all sorts of religions and also beliefs. He is trying to bring everybody together to be able to come as one and try to better the country.
Once again, hitting that point of unity and togetherness. So, in closing, do you believe that there's a bright future ahead for the India that we see today?
India always had a wonderful future, but with Mr. Modi being the prime minister, I think that is going to be a reality.
We're going to see a better India 20,
Yes.
30, 40 years from now than we
Absolutely.
see today.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you coming, telling us what you believe, your opinions.
I really appreciate you having me on the show, and I hope I was able to add my 2 cents to your quest.
Thanks for coming.